I really like his demeanor. It's really, really calm. I mean, similar, honestly, to Coach Bevel as far as demeanor. Really calm, never gets too high or too low. So I really like that. That's the type of guy I like to be around. And then as far as just offensively, bring some different things to the table. Obviously, we haven't been together for long. It only really started on Monday, so can't say too much right now. But really like the way he thinks about things and just how the offense is so complementary. And just how he schemes things up. I think he does a really good job of finding the weak points of defenses and exposing them, and I just think he's really smart. And being able to talk to him, I think we align pretty well, and we're on the same page.
That's Trevor Lawrence, of course, Jaguars quarterback. Welcome back. It's Jaguars Happy Hour on a Thursday afternoon. JP Shadrick with you. Jeff Lageman back in with us here in a few minutes, and that's the quarterback talking about offensive coordinator Press Taylor, who joins us in studio now. That's some nice words from the QB. What's up, Coach?
I paid him to say that. So.
Did you really?
Yeah,
the check cleared. Yeah. That's good news. So, all right. So let's start with that. The calm demeanor, the poise, not screaming. That's not your style, and that fits right in apparently with the quarterback. That relationship obviously is key for the success around here, right?
Of course, yeah. It's all about putting all our guys in the best position to succeed, but obviously that starts with the quarterback. A lot of times when your quarterback's playing well, everybody around him is playing well. And that's giving him things that he likes, putting him in a position where he understands. And we can come up with all sorts of football plays, but if he doesn't love it, doesn't believe in it, it's probably not going to work out. So we want to make sure we're in lockstep with him as we build this thing.
Actually, started to talk football this week for the first time. Maybe you've met him before, but you actually get into the X's and O's this week with the offseason program finally there. What's the first thing that stands out about Trevor when you sit down in a football meeting room with him?
He's very mature. He asks, and a lot of times, we haven't had a lot of football conversations, but he asks great questions. So that's always one of the things that he's engaged. You can kind of tell by the questions that a guy asks of kind of whether he likes it, where he's tracking, how he sees it. And he and really all the quarterbacks, Jake and CJ, they've done a great job with the questions they ask, the response they're giving, the engagement they're giving. So it's exciting.
There's a lot of offensive minds around here. Obviously, the head coach, you've been with him for a long time in Philly. Mike McCoy's been in the league for a long time as a head coach. Jim Bob Cooter, the passing game coordinator. Crafting all those ideas and philosophies together is one with the quarterbacks involved, I'm sure, as well. You've been in all those roles, though. Quality control guy, assistant quarterback coach, QB coach, you've done all these things. How does that help you take in information from all different types of mindsets?
Yeah, I think part of it is I know how I liked being treated in each of those roles and what kind of input I could provide and things like that. So part of it's being clear in your communication with what your expectation is for everybody. And then on top of that, with a lot of former quarterbacks and guys that have coached quarterbacks or been coordinators in this league, a lot of it's everybody putting their ego aside and realizing we don't need to do what we all did in the past. This is about putting our guys in the best position to create the 2022 Jacksonville offense. And that's what we're trying to do. Press
Taylor with us, Jaguars offensive coordinator. You're balancing building the scheme, but free agency was here, still is. It never really ends. The draft is coming up. Right. That's all after arriving in early February. There's not a lot of time to put all this together. How do you balance all the time for all three of those things?
That's what at times it feels like it's an in-season schedule where we're just kind of here all day. That's the good and the bad of this business necessarily is when you do have a sudden move like this, which a lot of us, we all moved in from other places, your family's kind of left behind. Now, the bad part of that is you're not with your family, which we all enjoy in the offseason. That's the great part about life in the NFL. But it gives you the ability to then you come in early, you stay late. We get a chance to kind of make up that ground with that time where maybe it's, football in the morning, personnel in the afternoon, playing for the next day at night. So that's kind of been the schedule we've all kind of worked off since we kind of got here, really, to kind of hit the ground running when the players get here.
What's the first thing you noticed when you were digging into the Jaguars tape from a year ago? Obviously, you were in the division, not looking at the Jags offense as much on the other side with Indy last year. When you first flipped on the Jaguars offense, what stood out? What did you inherit as an offensive coordinator?
Part of it, good and bad. You get a chance to evaluate a lot of guys, but there's a lot of guys on the tape. You saw a lot of guys that missed time with injuries and things like that really affected a lot of things. It hurts the chemistry of some things as you go, but it gives guys good experience, gives us a chance to evaluate more actual game tape of some of these guys. But there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of young talent, which is exciting. Obviously starting with Trevor, but the pieces around, there is young talent that we're excited to work with and look forward to.
Press Taylor with us. You mentioned the family. Settled in, everybody around, everybody here. I mean, it's a whirlwind in a month and a half, 2 months' time.
We're finally settled in. So we got the keys to our house this last week and finally started moving in. So now I work all day, I go home, and I work all night at home trying to get boxes out and do all that type of stuff. But definitely makes life a little bit better when your family's around.
It never ends, of course. The work never ends, that's for sure. This is Jaguars Happy Hour on 1010XL. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman back in a moment. Offensive coordinator Press Taylor joining us now. Free agent additions. Let's go through some of these guys because we've talked about them in so many different formats here, but it's nice to hear it from the guy who's putting the offense together. And let's start off with Christian Kirk, $37 million guaranteed dollars, but the versatility. He said it in his opening press conference. Hey, I'm not just a slot receiver. I'm here to do a lot of different things. What can he bring for your offense?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. It's the versatility of we can align him all over the formation. He can do a number of different things. He can win on the outside. He's a great decision maker with great speed, which you don't always hear that about receivers being great decision makers, but he really is. So you can put him in positions to be able to adjust things and get on the same page with Trevor. Probably something I didn't know about him was his demeanor. As we've been around each other for a week, he's got a great demeanor about himself. He, again, asks great questions similar to the quarterbacks, where I think that makes up for a lot of the less time on the grass where they have the ability to just sit and communicate in a meeting room and get on the same page. And he brings that element. He brings a big play. He's a dynamic player. He's good with the ball in his hands. He's able to win a number of different ways, which is intriguing for us.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard decision maker used in a wide receiver. I mean, how do you know that? How do you find that out about a guy?
Part of that's the way he talks, the questions he asks. Like I'm saying, he'll ask, versus this coverage, can I adjust this way versus that? Do you expect me to do this? What does Trevor want? He's asked those type of questions where it makes you confident and, okay, this guy's picking it up. And we knew a lot of that when we dug into him throughout the free agency period.
Zay Jones, a guy who's been a couple different places in the league. We've seen some highlights out of him, too. What do you think so far, a few days into the offseason program?
Zay's a similar guy. Zay is extremely cerebral, another one that asks great questions, and that's kind of going to be the core with a lot of the guys we talk about, the high-character guys, love football.
Seems
really
like a theme,
it.
Yes.
It is a little bit of a theme, and that's not by accident. So these are guys that we kind of know from – we researched these guys through players that they played with, coaches that coached them, college coaches that coached them. So we have a good feel for what we're getting out of these guys. And Zay has done nothing to disappoint. He's a great teammate. He's done a great job early on in this process of getting to know everybody and getting to learn some things.
Let's go to the tight end room. I was thinking about this earlier today before we were about to do this conversation, and I guess it was around 2010, right? The Patriots got Gronk and Hernandez in that same draft together. And, yes, there had been really good tight ends in the league before that, but that combination kind of changed the mindset of a lot of offensive thinking around the NFL because of the success of that crew. Not calling this crew that, but Evan Engram comes in. You got Dan Arnold, two guys that can go out and catch the football. Having that option as a quarterback and an OC has to help.
Absolutely. It gives you the ability to create matchups, and that's what we're looking for. When we put Evan Engram on the field, who's going to cover him? Do you need to bring in a lighter body? Do you put a nickel on him? Do you put a safety on him? Do you put a linebacker on him, which we would ask for if you get to pick? But Evan kind of brings that with his speed overall, first and foremost. But he's got a guy that's got a lot in his body in terms of the wiggle and the decision making, the ability to make the option routes, the read routes, stretch down the field. Does a great job with the football in his hands. If you just get him out, whether it's a check down, a flat route, whatever that may be, you get a chance to see that speed and space, which we're looking to do all the time.
Press Taylor with us, and we'll finish on the offensive line. Brandon Scherff, longtime pro, of course, in Washington, perennial All-Pro and Pro Bowl player, and just brings that kind of attitude, I think, to that room.
Right, and that's a big part of it is we know what we're getting in the room. Obviously, Coach Rosher had the ability to work with Brandon when they were in Washington together, so he could vouch for the character and the leadership, and it was really off the charts. He kind of went on and on about it. And then, obviously, the talent on tape, the Pro Bowls, the All-Pro, all that stuff. He's an incredible talent. somebody that we look forward to adding and incorporating in our offense as we go.
Press, final thoughts with you here. In your past, you're kind of credited for some of the key plays in the Eagles run. We've known that from the old days, right? Different role back then. You're now the offensive coordinator. Do you still try to dig and find new ways, new plays, steal ideas from college pro teams? Is that still in your workflow? How much football do you watch on a regular basis, otherwise beyond Jaguars tape and all that? And or does that come in a natural progression for an offense in your personnel?
Yeah, we're always looking for what we think fits us. So if you see a route on tape and, okay, that's a great route, do we have a guy that could do that would fit in a skill set? Does it fit everything else around that we're doing? How expensive is it if it is something unique? That's one of the things we'll talk about a lot is how expensive is this? Do we want to invest in new ideas that are going to cost a lot of time that we're not going to get a lot of return on? So you spend a lot of time, and it's the things we're comfortable with, but the things that we feel like our players can do really well. And we can teach really well. We can explain. We have evidence of. But you want to know what you're talking about, obviously, for the guys. You have to be able to prove to them that you can put them in position to succeed, and then give them things that they do really well.
All right, you're, 4 days in now to the offseason program. Are you on track? What's coming up the next week or so? And take us through just a normal day in the office right now.
Yeah, right now, so it starts, the players get in here about 9 o'clock. Sometimes we have a team meeting, sometimes we don't. They get in, they got the ability to lift, and then we have the ability to meet with them. They go out and run with the strength coaches. But in this phase one portion, we're not allowed to go on the grass with them yet. So it's actually great in terms of the teaching progression of things, where we get a chance to sit in a calm environment. There is no pressure to go out and perform on this play 2 hours later in practice right now. So you get a chance to ask a lot of questions to see what their retention is on things. But it's a pretty good process in terms of the progression of things and how we can teach our offense and we learn going forward.
But, I can just see it in your face. You can't wait to get on the grass.
Yeah, we're down in sunny
guys.
Florida, too. I want to get outside.
Absolutely. It's caving here.
Exactly. I'm down.
Hey, Press, thanks for the time. Really appreciate it, man.
Yep.
Good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you down the line. Press Taylor with us. The Jaguars are future-focused and ready for a new look in 2022. Join us at the bank this season as Doug Peterson, Trevor Lawrence, and the Jaguars lead the charge. Lock in your seats at jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000. Jeff Lageman returns in a moment. It's Jaguars Happy Hour on the Jaguars Digital Network.